happened again. While you were sleeping last night, the United States government shut down. But this time, there's a twist that changes everything. 2 weeks ago, a shooting in Minneapolis sparked a political firestorm that just brought Washington to its knees. And what happens next could redefine how America handles immigration enforcement forever. Stay with me, because what's unfolding right now isn't just another political standoff. It's a collision course between tragedy, power, and the most contentious issue in American politics. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this shutdown is different from anything we've seen before. Let's get you up to speed fast. At midnight Eastern Time on Saturday, that's 5 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time for our international viewers, the U.S. federal government entered a partial shutdown. Now, I know what you're thinking. Didn't we just go through this? And you're absolutely right. This is the second government shutdown in less than a year. Just 11 weeks ago, America emerged from a 43-day shutdown, the longest in U.S. history, that lasted from October 1st to November 14th, 2025. That shutdown paralyzed air travel, sent hundreds of thousands of federal workers home without pay, and created chaos across essential government services. But here's where it gets interesting. Just hours before this shutdown began, the Senate approved a last-minute funding deal. They passed legislation to fund most government agencies all the way through September. Problem solved, right? Not quite. There's a catch, and it's a big one. The Department of Homeland Security, which oversees all immigration enforcement in America, only got 2 weeks of funding instead of the full extension. 2 weeks. That's it. And here's the kicker. The House of Representatives hasn't even voted on this deal yet. They're out of session. So technically, we're in shutdown mode even though a solution exists on paper. Now, you might be wondering why Congress would play Russian roulette with government funding over immigration enforcement. Well, the answer involves a fatal shooting, federal agents without badges, and a political standoff that neither side wants to lose. But before I get to that, let me show you exactly what this shutdown means for everyday Americans. So what does a partial government shutdown actually look like? The White House has already sent directives to multiple agencies, including the Departments of Transportation, Education, and Defense, ordering them to execute shutdown plans. According to a White House memo obtained by reporters, employees at these agencies have been told to report to work for their next, regularly scheduled tour of duty to undertake orderly shutdown activities. Translation: they're going to work to prepare to stop working. The memo also stated, "It is our hope that this lapse will be short." Hope, that's the operative word here. But here's some potentially good news. This shutdown is unlikely to be as long or as devastating as the 43-day marathon we just experienced. Why? The House of Representatives returns to session on Monday. President Trump has already urged Republicans, who hold the majority in the House, to vote for the Senate deal. So we could be looking at a shutdown measured in hours or days rather than weeks or months. But even a short shutdown sends shockwaves through the system. Federal contractors don't get paid. National parks might close. Processing delays hit everything from passports to tax returns. And all of this is happening because of what went down 2 weeks ago in Minneapolis. What happened in Minneapolis didn't just claim one life. It potentially changed the trajectory of American immigration policy. The footage, the questions, and the outrage have forced both parties into positions they can't back down from. Let me show you how a single incident spiraled into a government shutdown. On a weekend that should have been ordinary, Alex Preddy, an intensive care nurse, was shot and killed by a U.S. Border Patrol agent in Minneapolis. Let me paint this picture for you. Preddy wasn't at the border. He wasn't attempting to cross illegally. He was in Minneapolis, hundreds of miles from any international boundary, when several federal immigration agents tried to restrain him during an altercation. The confrontation ended with Preddy dead from a gunshot fired by a Border Patrol agent. Now, the details of exactly what happened are still emerging, but what's not in dispute is that a healthcare worker is dead, and the incident has exposed deep fissures in how immigration enforcement operates in America. Both Republican and Democratic lawmakers immediately criticized the tactics used by immigration agents. That's worth pausing on. In today's hyper-partisan environment, getting both sides to agree on anything is rare. But the Minneapolis shooting was so controversial that it unified Congress in criticism, even as it divided them on solutions. On Friday, the Justice Department launched a civil rights investigation into the shooting. That tells you how serious this is. Federal civil rights investigations aren't launched lightly. But here's what really matters politically. Democrats seized on this tragedy to demand sweeping changes to immigration enforcement. And those demands are what's holding up government funding right now. So what exactly do Democrats want? Their demands are so controversial that Republicans are willing to partially shut down the government rather than accept them. And what President Trump is offering in response might surprise you. The negotiation happening right now could reshape immigration enforcement in America. Let's talk about what's really being negotiated behind closed doors in Washington. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, laid out the Democratic position in stark terms. We need to rein in ICE and end the violence. ICE, that's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the federal agency responsible for enforcing immigration laws inside the United States. Schumer continued, that means ending roving patrols. It means requiring rules, oversight, and judicial warrants. Masks need to come off, cameras need to stay on, and officers need visible identification. No secret police. Let me break down what Democrats are demanding. First, end roving patrols. These are when immigration agents patrol neighborhoods or set up checkpoints away from the border, looking for people who might be in the country illegally. Second, require judicial warrants before immigration enforcement actions. Currently, ICE agents can detain people without traditional warrants in many circumstances. Third, transparency requirements. No masks, cameras always on, visible identification on all officers. That last one, no secret police, is particularly loaded language. It's designed to evoke images of authoritarian regimes and put Republicans on the defensive. Now here's where it gets fascinating. President Trump, who built his political brand on tough immigration enforcement, cut a deal with Democrats that includes that 2-week funding window for Homeland Security. He's essentially agreeing to negotiate on these issues rather than digging in completely. Why would Trump do this? Because the optics of the Minneapolis shooting are terrible, and the political calculation has changed. When federal agents shoot American citizens on American soil, far from any border, it becomes harder to frame immigration enforcement as purely a national security issue. Trump wants this funding deal to pass. He's urged House Republicans to vote for it. That's significant. So where do we go from here? The House returns to session Monday. If they pass the Senate deal, and Trump is pushing them to do exactly that, the government shutdown ends quickly, and we move into a 2-week negotiation period. During those 2 weeks, lawmakers from both parties will hammer out policies for immigration enforcement. Democrats want their reforms. Republicans want to maintain strong enforcement capabilities. And somewhere in the middle, there's supposedly a deal to be made. But think about what's really at stake here. We're talking about fundamental questions. How much power should federal law enforcement have? What oversight mechanisms are necessary? How do we balance security with civil liberties? Where's the line between enforcing immigration law and creating what critics call a climate of fear in immigrant communities? These aren't easy questions, and they've been simmering for years, maybe decades. The Minneapolis shooting just brought them to a boil. If negotiations break down after those 2 weeks, we could see either another shutdown specifically targeting the Department of Homeland Security, or Congress could pass another short-term extension, kicking the can down the road again. The pattern here is frustrating for anyone who wants government to actually function. We lurch from crisis to crisis, short-term deal to short-term deal, without addressing underlying issues. But here's what really matters to you watching this right now. This isn't just a Washington power struggle. The outcome of these negotiations will affect how immigration enforcement works in every American city and town. And the precedent being set right now about government shutdowns and crisis negotiations will shape American politics for years to come. Let's zoom out for a moment and look at what this shutdown reveals about American governance in 2026. This is the second shutdown in a year. The previous one lasted 43 days, a record. Federal workers are getting whiplash from budget uncertainty. Essential services get disrupted. International confidence in American stability takes another hit. And for what? Both parties will tell you they're standing on principle. Democrats will say they're protecting civil liberties and preventing federal overreach. Republicans will say they're protecting national security and enforcing duly passed laws. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The shutdown mechanism as a negotiating tactic has become normalized. What was once seen as a failure of governance, a last resort, is now a regular feature of American politics. We've gone from shutdowns being rare and shocking to being almost expected. That's not a healthy development for democracy. Meanwhile, real people suffer the consequences. Federal workers worry about paychecks. Contractors lose income. Services get delayed. And trust in government institutions erodes a little bit more. So here's where we are. The U.S. government is partially shut down over a 2-week funding gap for the Department of Homeland Security, triggered by Democratic demands for immigration enforcement reform following a fatal shooting in Minneapolis. The House votes Monday. If it passes, we get a 2-week negotiation window. If it fails, this shutdown could escalate. This story is developing rapidly, and I'll be following every twist and turn. The next 48 hours are critical. If you want to stay informed as this situation unfolds, hit that subscribe button right now. Ring the notification bell so you don't miss updates. And if this video helped you understand what's really happening in Washington, give it a thumbs up. It helps other people find this content. Drop a comment below. Do you think Congress will pass this funding deal? Or are we heading for another prolonged shutdown? I read every comment and I'm genuinely curious what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, where we'll break down whatever happens next in this unfolding story. Stay informed, stay engaged, and remember, this is your government. Hold them accountable.